So my name is Rob MacDonald. I work as a psychologist here in our community, and myself and a few volunteers here at our church have gotten together to produce some resources for managing the mental health aspects of going through a pandemic. We wanted to create a couple of videos here to help us cultivate healthy emotional and mental and behavioral practices in the midst of an extremely challenging season. Now, as I've mentioned before, as this crisis has evolved, as a people, we've had to adapt to significant collective changes that have happened to us with astonishing speed, and the amount of anxiety, in this case, that this has generated for us has been significant. And we've been dealing with this now for a little over a month in our community, and so I'm wondering if we're noticing things in ourselves, like more muscle tension, more aches and pains, more restlessness, more inability to relax, difficulties concentrating, difficulties sleeping, maybe feeling fatigued. So learning how to recognize and manage anxiety is going to become an essential skill here as we continue to face all these threats that are going to continue to come at us. Now, anxiety itself is a normal reaction to perceived threat of harm to ourselves, our relationships, and our sense of security and predictability. But it employs all the same physiological, cognitive, and emotional high alert systems that help us respond to threat and danger in the absence, though, of acute threat and danger. So anxiety is a little more, I'll say, imaginative, where we get mental pictures of things that are usually associated with worst-case scenarios. Anxiety thrives in the what-ifs, and all these what-if scenarios that just plague us. And when these what-ifs and these worries are attached to problems way outside our control, that's particularly difficult for us. Things like, what if the price of oil stays where it is? What if my family members get sick? What if the world stays in a pandemic state for more than just a few months? What if I lose my ability to earn an income? What if I have to face this alone or have a loved one die alone? Like, these are things that really can scare us and can cause a great amount of fear and worry and anxiety. But this is where anxiety thrives. And the main goal, of course, of anxiety is to drive us ever more inward and to drive us to employ increasingly irrational behaviors and thought processes to make us feel like we have some control over all these unknowns that surround us. Now, anxiety is centered, of course, on excessive worry about hypothetical situations where we'd have little to no control. Now, I mentioned before, in the case of stress, we're confronted with a problem that needs solving. You can likely do something about it. With anxiety, it's more general and related to things outside of our control and a little more, like I said, imaginative, where your mind creates mental pictures of all these things that can go wrong. Now, anxiety is first addressed by learning breathing and calming techniques to settle the body, which in turn helps us settle the inner worlds of our thoughts and our feelings. And once the body is calm, our thoughts and our feelings are easier to manage, and they tend to follow suit. Now, in today's video, I thought it might be interesting to have a good friend of mine join us and offer some of his wisdom on how to handle anxiety in the context of a pandemic. Now, his name is Dr. Rodolfo Nolasco, but he goes by Rolf. That's how we know him by. He's an educator, a psychotherapist, an author, a researcher. He currently teaches pastoral theology at Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary near Chicago. So he comes at this issue of anxiety as a Canadian living in America. He previously taught, though, at Providence Theological Seminary in Calgary, which is where I got to know him. He's authored 3 books, is in the process of writing 2 more, and runs a website called compassionatepresence.ca. Now, he and I have worked on some really cool projects over the years. I've known Rolf for a long time, and he's done a lot of research, writing, and teaching on mental health issues. So I thought it would be interesting and helpful for us to hear from him for this video. He's going to lead us through a helpful acronym to remember some simple steps to manage and deal with anxiety, as well as he's going to invite us to join him in on a short breathing exercise that I would encourage you to take part in. So I'll let him present his piece. that he's created for us, and then I'll have a few comments after that.
Greetings, everyone. As you have mentioned earlier, stress and anxiety are normal reactions to perceive an actual threat to bodily and relational integrity. And one of the ill effects of COVID 19 is this pervasive sense of anxiety, of worrying about our health and those of our loved ones, of getting rattled by the prospects of unemployment and financial and food insecurity, of being anxious around this new normal that feels rather unfamiliar and unsettling for many of us. This anxiety, again, is a normal reaction to this unprecedented health crisis. Bombarded by a never ending news cycle of deaths and infections, this anxiety lingers and it becomes a loud noise that intrudes our daily living and then renders us almost paralyzed, on high alert and on survival mode. This emotional state hijacks our ability to be calm, strategic, and mindful in our responses to this pandemic. Worse, it compromises and weakens our immune system, signaling a fight and flight response that can induce deleterious effects on our way of being. And one of the ways to take back control, and which we have control over, is to listen to our body and pay attention to what it is saying to us. These moments of heightened anxiety are characterized by increased heart rate, rapid breathing, headache, sleep issues, fatigue, muscle tensions, sweating, digestive troubles, which are often linked with catastrophizing thoughts and negative emotional valence. When we experience this, I suggest the following intervention using the mnemonic word breathe, B-R-E-A-T-H-E. B stands for breathing, breathing deeply and slowly and calmly. The simple act of mindful breathing can activate our parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for making us calm, present, and grounded. I will guide us through a simple breathing exercise called 4-3-6 towards the end of this video. R stands for remembering, remembering our own strength and resilience, or source of hope and comfort that has and will carry us through this difficult and uncertain time. E stands for equanimity. As best as we can, let's maintain a sense of calmness and balance as we go through the ebb and flow of this new normal. This means having a mind that neither overreacts nor in denial, but is open to whatever emotions this crisis brings to the fore without getting lost in them. A stands for affect or emotional regulation. Related to equanimity, when varied emotions such as fear, anger, sadness, or guilt are shored up, treat them not as enemies to fight or resist against, but as guests bearing gifts of awareness, exploration, and action. Cry if you have to. Express those fears or sadness in words or images, or display gratitude to those who are toiling night and day to take care of those who are stricken by this virus. T is for timeout. Take a time out from our screens or from gobbling up COVID 19 related news. Cut the noise and focus on what is in front of us and make space to reconnect with ourselves and those around us. H stands for home. Stay at home, literally, but also stay connected to or inhabit through imagination a sacred space that evokes feelings of security, comfort, and peace. This shelter in place could also be an opportunity to shelter in God, who is our refuge and our strength. And lastly, E for exhaling. As best as we can, let us exhale all the unnecessary and debilitating fears that clutter our ability to be clear-minded and inhale those that enlivens and gives us courage, amidst this uncertain time. In closing, I'd like to guide us through the simple 4-3-6 breathing exercise. And we could do that simply by finding a comfortable position and begin to settle your mind and heart with a few deep breaths. And with the next out breath, gently close your eyes. Now breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 3. And then breathe out through your mouth slowly for a count of 6. Let's repeat that cycle again. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Now hold your breath for a count of 3. And then breathe out through your mouth slowly for a count of 6. When ready, you can open your eyes and direct a loving attention outward. Let me end this short talk with a benediction. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Amen.
All right. I'm thankful to Rolf for sharing that with us. And I hope you can take that with you, that whole idea of just breathe. This B-R-E-A-T-H-E. Just breathe. Now, thank you for listening. I hope you can join us for our next video as well on grief and anger, and then later on depression.